I read a few books in the last few weeks that were really relatively new to me, and I thought maybe I'd bring them to your attention in case you haven't read them. Maybe you have, probably you have. The first one is a book by Elmore Leonard, and that's Mr. Majestic. It's about an Army veteran who was a farmer in California. It's a super action story. And the thing that impressed me about this book, I mean, it's not a long one, but it's such a streamlined, fast-moving plot. It reminded me very much of a Louis L'Amour Western. And there was a movie in the 1970s, Mr. Majestic, that starred Charles Bronson. So you get a pretty good idea for what this book is. Now, the next one is another relatively short book and not a super long novel, and that's The Friends of Eddie Coyle by a guy named George V. Higgins. And I know that The Friends of Eddie Coyle is regarded as a kind of a classic in the crime genre. I just never read it. I thought it was great. The standout thing to me about the book was that the story is told largely through dialogue, which comes across as very ordinary, very natural, very everyday. It's, I think, a terrifically well-written book. Very, very good. Now, the third one is by a writer. I've read a lot of his books. This is one of his earliest ones. It's Ace Atkins, and the name of the book is The Heathens. Now, The Heathens stars, well, I think it's his main character, a guy named Quinn Colson, who's a sheriff in a county in Mississippi. And it's a story of a woman who gets murdered and dismembered and so on. And there's a hunt for the woman's daughter. She's falsely accused of doing it. The thing that stands out about this book is, again, his use of dialogue. I mean, you come across all of this backcountry southern way of talking, which once again is a very, well, it's number one, it's very different from The Friends of Eddie Coyle, which is a kind of a Boston type thing. This is really very, very good. And I'll tell you what, Ace Atkins is another guy who knows how to put together a good story, keep it moving. Really good, excellent. The third one is a travel book, and again, this is kind of old. It's, I think, 1997 or 1998, and that's Bill Bryson's A Walk in the Woods, and it's about a summer that he spends where he's trying to walk along the entire Appalachian Trail. Very interesting. Bill Bryson is a quite entertaining nonfiction writer. He's got a great eye for detail, tells you a lot about what's going on in the woods on this Appalachian Trail. Really interesting stories. Great, like I say, great eye for detail, and gives you plenty of background. Now, the only bone I have to pick about it is that he makes some snarky comments about Stonewall Jackson when he's in Virginia, and quite frankly, I mean, it struck me because I'm a huge, huge Stonewall Jackson fan. Also, I should bring to your attention, my bedtime reading tends to be Agatha Christie. I only read for about 10 or 15 minutes before I go to sleep. And I broke into Agatha Christie's Miss Marple series, which I had never come across before. I had read most of the Hercule Poirot books, but not Miss Marple. And I've got to say that is, these are the kind of books that are perfect for calming your mind down, getting you, before you go to bed. Really enjoy them. I'm no better at solving the Miss Marple mysteries than I was at solving the Hercule Poirot mysteries. But once again, quite entertaining. And finally, I'll mention I was thinking to myself, maybe I should do some reading that'd be like good for me, So I picked up George Eliot's Middlemarch, which I know I had read before, and I think I liked it before. This time I picked it up, and I've got to say, I think it totally sucks. And I think it's the reason that people don't like the classics, about stuff that's supposed to be good for you. I mean, I just plain got sick of it. And I'll tell you, it's not that I have anything against 19th century female English writers, because I happen to love Jane Austen, and I've read all of her books several times. At this Middlemarch, it really, really and truly sucked. So anyway, I figured I'd throw out a handful of books that I've been reading recently, and figured I'd bring them to your attention. Come back next week, I'll have another book review.